team in the National Football League, down 6 spots, so a pretty big drop from last week. It is the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are the 10th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So, odd stat. So the Packers are 0-2 with Jordan Love, 2-0 with Malik Willis. It's a weird dynamic. Again, Jordan Love, first game back from the injury, playing against a Vikings defense that is utterly dominant. And Green Bay really couldn't get things going offensively up until the fourth quarter. What I was a little bit shocked about, and again, everybody deserves a bad game, but the fact that they're just seem to be, O'Connell's a great coach, but Minnesota just seemed to be about 2 steps ahead of Green Bay on every possession. I mean, whether it was design plays where they're turning the football over, they're more prepared than Green Bay. In a game that was played at Lambeau, which I thought could be the difference in the spot. And listen, it's not Lambeau in December, January, where it's freezing cold, and it's a huge, advantage for the home team. But listen, I think Green Bay is going to be fine in the long run. I love their weapons. They did lose Christian Watson this game. He got hurt. Knock on wood for him that he's not out for too long. But I think Jordan Love will get his feet back underneath him. This Packers defense, though, bad day at the office after looking like maybe they've turned a new corner after last season. We'll see if that's able to get back on track. The Packers are the 10th best team in the National Football League. At number 9, falling a spot from where they were a week ago, it is my Pittsburgh Steelers. My Steelers are the 9th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So the only reason they fell a spot is just because of the fact that they lost a game to the Colts that I don't think they should have. But the reason they're not out of the top 10 is 2 things. A, I still think it's the best defense in the NFL. Everybody deserves a bad day at the office. The Texans have had a bad game. So have the Niners. Listen, the Niners have lost twice. They've only had really 1 bad game, again, against Minnesota, a common opponent from some of these teams that have struggled in recent weeks. But listen, TJ Watt's going to have a dominant game against Dallas coming this week. I'm just going to say right now, man's got 3 sacks. This defense is still loaded. It's coached by Mike Tomlin. They'll be fine. Everybody deserves a bad day. It's offensively that I was most impressed. So fall down 17-0. In years past for Pittsburgh, the last 3, 4, 5 seasons, that's a rout. Colts run away with that thing. It's the fact that Justin Fields was able to make big-time throws from the pocket. We know his mobility. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in the game against the Colts, but his mobility, being able to be accurate with the football, again, him and Arthur Smith have just been a match made in football heaven and a godsend for the Steelers offense, getting guys like Pickens involved, Pat Freiermuth in the short game, who caught a touchdown in this game. I mean, Pittsburgh's running game, which have been really good at number 1 in the NFL in rushing attempts, kind of uneven game against the Colts, but trusting their game plan and being able for Justin Fields to adapt and adjust to whatever the Colts threw at him. It wasn't until a late bad snap by the center really kind of cost the Steelers an opportunity to, at the very least, tie the game and send it to overtime. So my Steelers, still very optimistic about them as a potential AFC North Division winner, the 9th best team in the National Football League. At number 8 and up 1 spot from last week, it is the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are the 8th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So, again, if had Pittsburgh won, San Francisco would have just stayed at 9, because I think at this point we need to have a new rule on the show or on any rankings list. If you play the Patriots, it's kudos to you. It counts just the same as any other win. If you were to beat, the darn Chiefs or something, it's New England is really, 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 really bad. Those first 2 weeks were kind of a mirage to a certain degree. And a combination of the fact that the Bengals already started every season slow. But as for San Francisco, Brock Purdy, kind of an uneven game, a little bit reckless with the football against New England. But George Kittle back in the lineup. Deebo Samuel back in the lineup. Missing Christian McCaffrey for potentially even longer than the Niners originally thought. Achilles tendonitis in both knees. It's still a really talented defense. Kyle Shanahan's brilliant. We know that. Jordan Mason has done a really, really good job running the football. I've been impressed with what I've seen from Brock Purdy through 4 weeks. Not the greatest game against New England, but Juwan Jennings has stepped up. Ayuk and Purdy still not quite in sync. A lot of that obviously due to Ayuk's holdout in training camp due to the contract stuff. But San Francisco, still an outstanding roster with an outstanding head coach. They're absolutely in the top 10. Niners are the 8th best team in the National Football League. At number 7, I believe they went up a spot from last week. It is the Houston Texans. The Texans are the 7th best team in the National Football League, and here is why. So again, this is a team that had Super Bowl aspirations after an incredible season last year. Of course, this is, I'd say, the most popular preseason AFC Championship game pick has been Chiefs-Texans, along with Chiefs-Ravens, a rematch from last year. We're a month into the season. My only concern with this team is I still haven't really seen a complete game. Right? In week 1, great offensive performance, bad on defense. In week 2, great defense, kind of below average. on offense. In week 3, both sides were bad. Again, against the Minnesota Vikings. And then last week, I get it, divisional game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But if my man, I still love the guy, I want to believe him so bad, Trevor Lawrence could just hit a deep ball to Christian Kirk, Jacksonville probably wins that game, and Houston loses a home game to the only winless team in the National Football League. It took a CJ Stroud, kudos to him, leading a game-winning drive at the end. I had this team as a division winner, but not one that was going to make a big-time playoff run. In January, I still think they're just a little too young. Leather pieces. Stroud's incredible. D'Amico Ryans is outstanding. There's not much not to like about this team other than the fact they're kind of like the Packers, the AFC. They're still a little too young. The Texans, still very talented. They're 3-1. It's not like the sky's falling right now. The 7th best team in the National Football League. At number 6, team I've been bullish on all season long, but they've lost 2 straight. They only fall a spot, though, from last week, and I'll explain why. It is the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are the 6th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So I had the Chargers at 5 last week after the loss to Pittsburgh. Listen, I picked my Steelers to win that game because of the injuries to Justin Herbert. But coming into a game against the Chiefs, where, let's be honest right now, Kansas City, that's a home game for them in Los Angeles. The Chargers, I often joke, they have like 13 fans. No, you ever met somebody in the street and they said, hey, I'm like a diehard Chargers fan? I've never seen it. Maybe Marcellus Wiley. That's the only guy I could say who's an openly, passionate Chargers fan, and he played for him. So that's never met a Chargers fan. So basically, a road game at home. Herbert's beat up. There's no neither of your tackles. Joe Alt, Rashawn Slater gone. Derwin James gone due to suspension. Injury after injury, and they were in reaching distance with the champs if Chris Jones doesn't make another big-time clutch play in the fourth quarter, which is what he does. That's what the Chiefs do. But listen, it was a coaching masterclass by Harbaugh just to keep them in that game. I still like the roster. I still like their pieces. I still think they're going to the AFC title game. I'm not moving my pick now just because it's gotten a little inconvenient. I don't do that. It's not carving it up. That's not what we do. Listen, they still got a great quarterback in Herbert. The bye couldn't have come at a better time for the squad. So listen, the Los Angeles Chargers, given the spot they're at, they know what they want to be, running the football, fantastic offensive line. Los Angeles Chargers are the 6th best team in the National Football League. At number 5, down 2 spots, and what's been a weird curse on Bryson's best 10, it is the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are the 5th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. The curse that I'm referring to, by the way, is every single week, it's so weird, on Bryson's best 10, the number 3 team, folks, has lost. The Rams were number 3 in week 1. I think the Niners were number 3 in week 2. It's just this weird sort of odd curse. The Chargers were at one point were number 3. Like, it's just this weird sort of, I don't know if it's the curse of number 3. We'll see if number 3 gets cursed this week, given their matchup on Sunday. For the Bills, listen, get blown up by the Ravens. A lot of folks who have been Bills skeptics this offseason have said, hey, that's who the real Bills are because they played a very easy schedule in the first 3 weeks. I reject that, and here's why. Everything favored Baltimore in that game. They're at home. Buffalo on a short week, off a blowout. Maybe it's human nature. You blow a team out at home, nationally televised game. Josh Allen's the MVP frontrunner. Everybody's telling you how great you are. There comes a sense of complacency. It just is. It's human nature. It happens. I still believe in this running game with James Cook. Of course, I believe in Josh Allen. He's outstanding. This Bills defense does have questions. I do worry about the middle of their defense, in particular their linebacking core. I still think they have really good pieces in terms of the receiving core with Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and I still certainly think Dalton Kincaid is a very, very talented tight end. Don't panic just now on the Buffalo Bills. Now that they have one, again, as I keep saying, bad day at the office. Maybe be concerned to whoever, if your favorite team is number 3, there might be a little bit of concern because of the Bryce's best 10 number 3 curse, but the Buffalo Bills are the 5th best team in the National Football League. At number 4, back on Bryce's best 10 for the first time in 3 weeks, and coming back at number 4, it is team I hate, the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are the 4th best team in the National Football League, and here's why. I referenced that Sunday night game where they hammer Buffalo. That to me was less about the Bills being terrible and being a mess, and that was more about, Baltimore's ready to go. Baltimore, they know who they are. They tried the read option type of offense with Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. That may work in Madden. That's great. But in the long run, it's not going to work as it pertains to, Derrick Henry is a classic I formation, just turn around and hand me the football type of running back. I still have some concerns about the defense, but Kyle Hamilton was excellent in that Buffalo Bills game. Lamar Jackson finding his groove. Listen, I think Tom Monken is the perfect offensive coordinator for this guy. I talked about earlier, if there's any team that knows who they are in the NFL more than the Detroit Lions, show them to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers are there, and the Baltimore Ravens to a certain degree are there. I still worry about this team situationally in the fourth quarter ever since 2020. Most blown 7-point plus fourth quarter leads in the NFL going back to that season. It's a very talented roster. The receiving core somewhat questionable, but they run the football as well as anybody. And Derrick Henry, he may not be the old Derrick Henry, but he's still the best. Just turn around and hand the football type running back in the NFL. The Ravens, I got to be objective as a Steelers fan, are the fourth best team in the National Football League. At number 3, like I said, you probably don't want your team to be number 3 given the curse of this segment. It is the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are the third best team in the National Football League, and here's why. So, look, I can't lie about what I'm seeing. The defense has been best or second best in the NFL. They're turning the football over. They're stopping the run. They're getting to the quarterback. And Sam Darnold's been excellent. Now, do I trust that that's going to continue? I have 6 years of evidence to say probably not, but it's the best coaching he's had in his career, at least in terms of playing. He had Kyle Shanahan last year, but the best coaching he's had as the starting quarterback of an NFL team. Justin Jefferson's still the best receiver in the game. Addison's an outstanding number 2. By the way, they could be getting T.J. Hawkinson back this week, who's one of the 10 best tight ends in the NFL. Defensively, they're unbelievable. The tandem of Flores and O'Connell calling the defense and calling the offense, that might be the best tandem in the NFL. By the way, Minnesota, the very first team in NFL history to start 4-0 with 3 of their wins being against a team that won a playoff game the year prior. That being obviously the 49ers, the Texans, and on Sunday going into Lambeau, and don't let the final score fool you, hammered the Packers. Green Bay made a nice little rally in the fourth quarter. Vikings were the better team throughout. They took their foot off the gas pedal in the third quarter, which allowed Green Bay to get back into it. Do I trust them more than the team I'm about to name at number 2? I really don't. But they've been really good. Well, one of 2 undefeated teams left. The Vikings are the third best team in the National Football League. At number 2, again, my adoptive team, it is the Detroit Lions. The Lions are the second best team in the National Football League. Where they've been all year long of Bryce's best 10. What did y'all do, Dan Campbell?
Kneecap.
That's what they do. Listen, it's an explosive offense, arguably the best in the NFL. Jared Goff, again, on his last 2 games in the first half, folks, 24 for 24. Props to Goff, props to the O-line for giving this guy who, listen, we know Goff turns into somewhat of a backup if he faces pressure. He's got a clean pocket. He's deadly accurate. The numbers show it, but it also goes to elite offensive play calling by Ben Johnson. They've got everything. Elite O-line, efficient quarterback. By the way, Amon-Ra St. Brown, top 7 receiver, I think, in the National Football League. Jamison Williams, who I said is going to be the X factor for this offense. First year of his career, that is, he isn't either suspended or injured. And dear God, the speed on this kid, which I loved him out of Alabama, you're seeing it. Be it that breakaway speed down the sideline. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, lightning and thunder, thunder and lightning. Sam Laporta, the tight end. Now, I do have concerns about this defense, but if nothing else, their saving grace is they have one of the 5 best pass rushers on planet Earth in Aiden Hutchinson. So, and by the way, Aiden Hutchinson, they don't win that Rams game without him getting pressure on a big third down in Stafford. He was able to get to Geno Smith at times throughout the night. I have questions about the defense. I do. This team's ready to go every single Sunday. It's one of the smartest offensive coaching staffs in the NFL. I mean, the trick play was, the risk on that spot, running down the red zone was run to perfection. St. Brown to Goff. There's not much not to like about this team. They're healthy. They're playing exceptional football on the opposite side. The Detroit Lions are the second best team in the National Football League. Again, spoiler alert, at number 1, it is the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, once again, like the Lions have been number 2 all season long thus far, the Chiefs have been number 1 all season long thus far, and here's why. So let's see. Kansas City is on, I believe, a 10-game winning streak at this point. Yeah, my math serves me correctly. So, win their last 2 games at the end of last year's regular season. You beat an 11-win Miami team. You beat an 11-win Buffalo Bills team on the road, who were favored. You beat a 13-win Baltimore Ravens team on the road, who were favored. You beat the San Francisco 49ers, who have a better roster in the Super Bowl. They also were favored. You then beat the Baltimore Ravens again. You own them psychologically at this point in Arrowhead. You knock off, listen, I know the Bengals have one win. It's still Joe Burrow, who's had plenty of success against the Chiefs. Mahomes plays poorly, and they still beat the Cincinnati Bengals. The week after that, I said, listen, Atlanta is exactly the teams like I mentioned. I still think they're a talented roster with a good defense, and you're better situationally. And again, letting other teams beat themselves, which Atlanta did in that spot, particularly in their fourth down play calling. And then last week, again, against a beat-up Chargers team, finding a way to win week after week. The prime teams in the AFC the last couple of years, at least how we've perceived, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cincinnati, LA Chargers, they beat all of them. Some of them multiple times. And so Mahomes is not playing great football. He has top 5 in touchdown passes. It's not like the end of the world. Kansas City has had the hardest schedule in the NFL through 4 weeks. Now, again, my big concern for them, Rashee Rice, potentially done for the season. Hollywood Brown, potentially done for the season. Here's what I know. Brett Veach isn't Jerry Jones. He's going to be aggressive in the trade deadline. Kansas City's going to go get somebody, and this team is going to continue their quest for a three-peat. The Kansas City Chiefs, once again, it's a little anticlimactic again for Bryce's best 10, but they are the best team in the National Football League. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.